The X Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell is largely an opinion talk show. All opinions, comments, or statements of fact expressed by Rob McConnell's guests are strictly their own and are not to be construed as those of the X Zone Radio Show or endorsed in any manner by Rob McConnell, REL-MAR McConnell Media Company, the X Zone Broadcast Network, its affiliated networks, stations, employees, or advertisers.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
And welcome back, everyone. This is the X Zone. I am Rob McConnell, coming to you from around the world from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. If you'd like to check us out on any social media site, it's xzone at xzoneradiotv.com. To send me an email, xzone at xzoneradiotv.com, and to find out about the programming we have available for you 24/7, 365 on the X Zone Broadcast Network, just go to www.xzbn.net. Exonation, my guest this hour is Chris Cliff. Grew up in the woods of North Idaho, and his interests in the unusual was sparked by the well-stocked family library and was fostered by his grandmother and what he describes as a paranormal-friendly home. It was the matter of fact for him that departed relatives would occasionally make their presence known. Over the years, from UFOs to ghosts to Bigfoot and other cryptids, he spent much of his time investigating them all. A self-proclaimed skeptical believer, I've got to figure that one out later on, he now runs the website pararational.com, where he researches and writes all about his favorite topics. Once again, his website is pararational.com. And Chris Cliff, welcome to the X Zone.
Well, thank you for having me on.
So tell me, you came from a paranormal-friendly home. I can understand that, but what is a skeptical believer?
Well, it's tough. I try and walk that line between the true believers and the absolute skeptics, where you look at what somebody's experienced and try and kind of separate out the fact from the imagination, and just try and keep an open mind, but also realize, especially in the internet age, that what you read and what you hear isn't always exactly the truth.
Yeah, I call it the internet is the largest septic tank ever created by man, because there's more crap in it than anything else.
Yes.
Okay.
I totally agree with that.
Departed family members dropping in to say hi. What was it like the very first time you had a deceased relative drop by and say hi?
Most of it was very subtle things. A favorite of apparently would be my great grandfather was to turn faucets on. You'd be the only one at home, and you turned that bathroom faucet off, and you'd come by half an hour later, and it's going full blast.
Did your grandfather have a water thing when he was alive?
I don't know. He died before I was born, but he typically would follow my grandmother from location to location as they moved from summer house to winter house,
right,
and so on. So it followed her typically.
Over the years, from UFOs to ghosts to Bigfoot and other cryptids.
Yes.
How do you explain all these experiences that happen to one person?
I haven't seen all of them. I've seen a few of them. Strange things like three-toed footprints in the middle of the forest. I've seen Bigfoot at a very good distance, and I've seen some lights in the sky that just don't make sense. But you just keep reading about it and seeing more about it, hearing more about it, and the hole just keeps getting deeper the more you read.
So tell me about pararational.com.
Really, I hadn't found a website I liked that covered all the things I was interested in, so I just created it, and it's
Makes sense.
for the things that are beyond the rational.
So what are some of the favorite topics of those who visit pararational.com?
Oh, the black-eyed children are a favorite topic, as are shadow people. Lots of people seem to be seeing those. Partly a favorite of mine is objects appearing out of nowhere, typically water or stones.
Okay, first of all, let's talk about the black-eyed children.
Yes.
When did this phenomena come to the public awareness?
We are looking back in the late 90s. Brian Bethel was the quintessential case, and that kind of dropped onto the internet scene, and from there it's taken on a life of its own. And of course you've got the fairly reasonable reports mixed in with what's the best phrase for it, creepypasta. And that's really where it took off.
So how would you describe black-eyed children or black-eyed kids to people who have never heard this phrase before?
The stereotypical black-eyed kid encounter is an encounter with usually 1 to 3 children that appear to be heavily influenced on the appear between 8 and 16. And they generally appear to only a single person. They seem out of place in some way. Some reports will note that they're wearing, jeans and a t-shirt, but it's snowing outside. And the clothes don't always seem to be consistent with the time period. It's like they're 10 or 20 years out of line. And then, of course, there's all of the creepy factors, such as the fact that they have solid black eyes.
So what do we know about them? What do we know about where they came from, what their purpose is? And are they a threat to humanity?
As far as anyone can tell, they're absolutely a threat, because I haven't read any even semi-credible reports of anything less than bad things coming from even a slight encounter with them.
Such as?
There was one woman I was reading just recently that she had a couple of these kids show up at her door demanding entry, and she refused. But before she could close the door, one of the kids grabbed her wrist just for a moment. In the preceding days, her boyfriend left her. Someone stole her laptop. She got deathly ill. And it took quite a while for that kind of streak of bad luck to just dissipate.
Could it be coincidence?
Possibly. And it's very difficult to do that, but there's a pattern. Another woman from Iowa had run into the grocery store, left her child in the back seat. Typical small town thing to do.
Not a very smart thing to do.
Not very smart, but small town things. You feel safe. You don't think of these things. She jumps back in the car, and there's another child in the back seat with her son, and it's all black eyes. Short exchange. She panics, grabs her son out of the car, and goes back in the store. Well, by the time anybody goes back out, this black-eyed child's gone.
Right.
She's all shooken up, won't get back in the car. She calls her husband to come drive her car home. Well, in the process of driving the car home, he gets in a wreck. And then after that is done, her child starts getting sick, and no doctors can explain exactly what is wrong with him. He finally only comes around after an extended prayer session. So, coincidence? Maybe. But I'm not sure I'd want to push my luck.
Do these black-eyed children speak? Is it telepathic communication? Do they speak with an accent?
Accents are interesting. I have yet to hear of one with an accent or anyone mentioning that, but they do speak. They typically are very demanding. The classic thing is for them to show up on someone's door and request or even demand entry, as if there's some trigger that you saying yes, come in, allows them some access to you. As for telepathic, I've seen several reports where people will think something to the lines of, Jesus, what is going on here? And the children reply, yeah, that's not going to help you.
If that's not going to help them, how come this other child came out of whatever it was under, whatever influence, when these other people prayed for him?
I'm going to guess the same reason that most negative entities would say something like that, and lying to break your faith is a good tactic.
Interesting. Listen, you and I have got to take our first break. Please stand by. Exonation Chris Cliff is our special guest, and his website is pararational.com. That's www.pararational.com. And Chris and I will be back on the other side of this commercial break as we continue here in the X Zone from our broadcast center and studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. But before we go to our break, just a reminder that you can either read online or download the current edition of the X Chronicles newspaper with our compliments at www.xchroniclesnewspaper.com. And for all the broadcasting that we have available for you on the X Zone Broadcast Network radio channel, www.xzbn.net. We'll be back on the other side of this break. Don't go away. Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X Zone Broadcast Network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365.
You have heard of the X Zone? Now watch it on Simul TV. Plus 500 video games, live TV channels, free video on demand, worldwide, and more. Does this sound like tomorrow's television? Well, it is, but you can have it today, right now. It is Simul TV. Simul TV offers what the others only wish they could provide. 15 exclusive channels like X Zone, sci-fi, and horror. We are worldwide. No other provider offers that. 500 built-in video games. No need to have an extra expensive system. We have them included. Free video on demand. Live streaming events from around the world. Interactive online network, and much more. Tomorrow's TV today. Simul TV. Sound too good to be true? Well, it's not. You can have Simul TV today. Sign up at simultv.com. Do it today.
We live in rapidly shifting times of extreme volatility and uncertainty. Such profound change brings a unique opportunity for the evolution of consciousness. I'm Gwilda Wiyaka, host of Mission Evolution Radio Show, a program that explores the latest scientific developments and deepening spiritual truths supporting human evolution. Join me on xzbn.net, where I interview leading experts in science, physics, medicine, spirituality, and more. By applying divergent viewpoints to leading-edge topics, we uncover expansive and evolutionary truth to assist you on your path to enlightenment. More information and past episodes are available at missionevolution.org.
back, everyone. Chris Cliff is our special guest. His website is pararational.com, and we're talking about black-eyed kids. No, not the ones that are being abused by their family members or the local bully at school, but this is a phenomenon that is happening apparently more and more. And Chris, what do we know about the way these kids look? Do they look Caucasian? Do they look Oriental? Do they give any idea as to what nationality they are?
So far, all of the reports that I have seen have been generally Caucasian and, for lack of a better phrase, just a slight bit unreal. They just, there's something about skin color, hair, it just doesn't quite feel right.
Do we know if there have been black-eyed kids in Asian countries? And if so, did they differ in appearance from the Caucasians that we were just talking about?
You know, I haven't heard of any, and if someone has, please get in touch with me. That would be really interesting to hear.
So why do you think it's only a Caucasian version of these black-eyed kids that are being reported?
My suspicion would be that if you take the same phenomenon to a different culture, they're going to get reported as something different.
Have we heard of any African-American black-eyed kids?
Not so far.
No, eh? Hair color, blonde, brunette, redhead, or multicolored?
Usually just unremarkable browns. These children don't seem to be very standoutish. They're not wearing flamboyant clothes. They're just very unassuming.
What's the theory behind their presence? Where do they come from? Where do they go to? How do they live?
Where they come from is completely up for speculation. They tend to just show up, really almost as if they've appeared, and leave virtually the same way. People will report that they live at the end of a long road and they didn't see them coming, or they show up on military housing where random children don't just wander in. And after they're refused entry, people will go to look for them again, and they are just gone.
Tell me, with any of the sightings or encounters of the black-eyed kids in the wintertime, have people noticed whether or not they leave footprints or not?
No.
No,
they don't report that they've followed footprints and found them. They'll show up on your front porch, and they're gone. It's as if they just appear.
So prior to the mid-1990s, there has never been a report of a black-eyed kids.
Not under that name. Several researchers I've read, and some of the reading I've done, have had reports of things that by all descriptions look a lot like a black-eyed kid encounter. But again, the term black-eyed children and black-eyed kids really came about in the late 90s.
Okay, so with the appearance of a black-eyed kid, has there been a paranormal event prior, during, or after their appearance within the locale where they appear?
It doesn't appear so. It's almost as if they have found somebody that they're targeting, and they're very specifically after them. These seem like a very unique entity, unlike a ghost or a shadow person. It's an ongoing thing. It's almost like a paranormal car wreck, which just kind of hits you out of the blue.
Unreal. Let's talk about shadow people.
Yes.
What's the history behind the phenomenon?
These have been around a long time. Obviously, they get lumped in with ghosts and demons quite often, which some of them are. And I think with the internet age, people's willingness to talk about them has really risen. And these are, by at least my definition of them, these are entities that are solid black that typically appear out of nowhere, hang around, and then slide back into the shadows. humanoid form generally, and typically malevolent, typically.
When do these shadow people appear normally?
The classic shadow person will typically show up at night when somebody is sleeping or about to go to sleep.
Isn't that when the hypnagogic hallucinations are found to be most prevalent?
It is, and that has been one way to explain this. And people have said, well, that's your body's, shutdown mode. You're half asleep and you can't move, and that would explain some of the encounters of feeling, you can't move. There's something going on in the room and you can't see it. But many of these people don't just have a feeling of dread. They actually see something moving through the room and can move and can talk. So it kind of blows the theory that these are all just hallucinations right out of the water.
But do the shadow people talk? Do they try to communicate with the people who see them?
In a perfect classical shadow person encounter, I would say no.
Okay.
I think in the ones where you get some interaction, I would suspect the shadow person is something more than just an entity. It's a spirit of some sort, or possibly even a demon.
Why would a shadow person make itself known to a person? Is there an ulterior motive on this, why this happens? The best theory on this is that they are feeding off our psychic energy. And by showing up and inducing dread, that is their dinner bell. That is where they get their kicks. But if the person is not emanating or is not showing the fear factor, what would happen? As far as I can see, that is actually one of the best ways to get rid of them, is to give yourself some bubble of safety and spiritual happiness that doesn't feed them. But they typically are very good at inducing fear. I'm not sure anybody that would wake up in the middle of the night and see a humanoid shape slinking along the wall that wouldn't have at least a momentary spike of, what is that and where do I run? Is there a common thread between those people who have had the shadow people experiences? Typically there is. There's oftentimes some sort of trauma or emotional upset, some chink in the emotional armor that really gives them a way into to these people. How do you get rid of a shadow person? I mean, besides turning the light on. That is a great, Band-Aid, is turning the lights on. My advice to everybody is pick some sort of spirituality and start really embracing it. It doesn't seem to matter what, but an emotional, spiritual wall, for lack of a better term, seems to help. If it's a really, really bad encounter, something like stepping up from a basic shadow person to a hat man, you may want to contact a spiritualist of some sort or a priest to try and get rid of this thing. So how does the apparition work? If there's no light, how can you have a shadow? The best description I've seen for that is that it is blacker than black. And oftentimes, there's very rarely is our world completely black, even in a dark room. Once your eyes get used to it, it's dark. It's really, you can't see much, but you can see when there's no light. Have you ever seen a shadow person? I don't believe I've ever seen a true negative shadow person. I've seen some shadows that moved, but nothing that has stalked me. So would it be safe to say that shadow people are actually negative or evil entities? Yes. So if you were a very religious person, would your religion and your faith protect you against whatever the apparition or the shadow person is trying to accomplish? I think it would definitely be of help, yes. is there a connection between shadow people and possessions?
I think there's a certain class of shadow people that are actually demonic, and I would expect that those shadows are working to break somebody down so they can actually move into a possession.
So do you think having a crucifix on the wall or some prayer beads or even holy water in the room would be a safety factor and repel the shadow people?
I think my personal opinion
Yeah.
is that your faith in those items is much more important than them physically being there.
All right, you and I have to take our news break at the bottom of the hour. Please stand by. Exonation, our guest this hour is Chris Cliff. His website is pararational.com, and we'll be back on the other side of this news break as we continue here in the X Zone from our broadcast center and studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Don't forget the X Chronicles newspaper to read online or to download is available at www.xchroniclesnewspaper.com. And for all the information on Simul TV, the 80 specialty channels, including the X Zone TV channel, visit www.simultv.com.
From our broadcast studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, to the world and beyond, you're watching the X Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net.
AVS Media Den.
You have heard of the X Zone? Now watch it on Simul TV, plus 500 video games, live TV channels, free video on demand, worldwide, and more. Does this sound like tomorrow's television? Well, it is, but you can have it today, right now. It is Simul TV. Simul TV offers what the others only wish they could provide. 15 exclusive channels like X Zone, sci-fi, and horror. We are worldwide. No other provider offers that. 500 built-in video games. No need to have an extra expensive system. We have them included. Free video on demand. Live streaming events from around the world, interactive online network, and much more. Tomorrow's TV today. Simul TV. Sound too good to be true? Well, it's not. You can have Simul TV today. Sign up at simultv.com. Do it today.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X Zone Broadcast Network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365.
Rob McConnell here, presenting an overview for Nicholas Paul Jennings, author of a fascinating book, Amen. It presents facts revealed by Egyptologists, facts that enable us to understand why Amen is the beginning of creation of God. It provides recommendations for religious leaders of the major religions to unify their beliefs and teach the Word of God. Love one another. Amen informs people how mankind conceived God. It was the Egyptians that developed the concepts of a soul, a hereafter, and Son of God. And finally, after the worship of many gods, they conceived the belief in one universal God, the maker of all there is. For more information, visit www.futureofgodamen.com. That's www.futureofgodamen.com.
If you're a fan of the X Zone, Paranormal Court TV, Pyrogators, and all the other shows that we do here at REL-MAR, visit our store where you can get t-shirts, hats, past editions of the X Chronicles newspaper, DVDs, CDs, and so much more. That's at www.thexzonestore.com. Chris Cliff is our guest, www.pararational.com. Just getting back to shadow people for a moment, Chris, before we go on to our next topic. Are they considered ghosts?
I think a lot of times ghosts are overlap a little bit. You see a black shape out of the corner of your eye, and it's a shadow person. But really, to pigeonhole them, the shadow people are very negative entities, whereas ghosts can have a range of motivations.
So how do we know shadow people are real and not just figments of people's imaginations? Why doesn't everybody see a shadow person?
Well, hopefully everyone doesn't have that much negativity in their life to attract one. That would be the start of it. And in like any of the paranormal experiences, unless you've actually had one yourself, it's virtually impossible to prove. I mean, the ghost hunters have been around for years looking for EVPs and photos of spirits, and they're still not doing a great job.
How do we explain that with all these ghost hunters out there? Gosh, in Southern California alone, 1,500 groups, minimum 3 people per group. That's 4,500 people going out on a nightly basis looking for ghosts. That's just in one state, one part of a state. How do we explain that? No proof. Nothing has changed over the years except a lot of hype, a lot of shaky camera work, a lot of less than professional producers out there who are just doing anything they can to get ratings. So how do we say ghosts are real?
Scientifically, we haven't come up with a way to prove they exist. EVPs are probably the closest we have come to that. And again, there's a wide spectrum of believable to I heard a crackle even in there.
Yeah.
Really, experiences are all we have to go on.
At the end of the day, what difference does it make then if there's never any proof?
I can't say that there is. What I can say is when you start talking to people and they learn that they can be comfortable with revealing their secrets to you, amazing number of people have had some sort of encounter that really does fall under my category of para-rational, where there's no way to rationally explain it.
But that doesn't mean it's real.
One can argue that if they feel it's real and it's what they experience, then at the very least, it's real to them.
All right, so we've got a lot of people with the psychosis out there.
Very possibly, but it's a lot of people.
It's a lot of people who are also looking for their 5 minutes of fame.
Some are.
Yeah.
And some really don't want their 5 minutes of fame. They just have had an experience that they don't know what to do with and really don't have a way to process.
So why don't they seek professional help? Why would these people not go to trained professionals and see if there's something wrong with them, or else? Because if you go to a ghost hunter, if you go to a paranormal researcher, if you think that you've seen something paranormal, it'll be taken for granted that you did.
Oh, absolutely. I think there's, on both sides of that coin, there's confirmational bias. If you go to a psychologist or a doctor, they're going to absolutely give you you've had a hallucination prognosis, whereas if you go to a ghost hunting group, they're going to give you the opposite end of the spectrum and go, oh, you absolutely saw a ghost, which kind of comes back around to my stance of being a skeptical believer.
But what happens in the case where the person goes to the ghost hunter with their story and they really do have problems, and the ghost hunters or or whatever they want to call themselves these days are actually feeding a mental problem? Where does the responsibility lie?
They really, if the ghost hunters are being ethical, and I really think, and I'm sure there are there are groups that are running wild and crazy and aren't.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, from an ethical standpoint, there's more to ghost hunting or any of the paranormal research than just going and looking for that elusive magical photo of a spirit. It's helping the people in the way they need.
But how can they help somebody when they're not trained professionals to help?
My advice would be listen to them, hear what they have to say, and if it's really serious, refer them to somebody that can help them in a long-term fashion.
But do we really think that the ghost researchers, ghostbusters, ghost investigators out there really know what to look for when it comes to
I would say, again, with as many as there are out there, some will, some won't. My suspicion is most people, we most helped just by being given the space to go, you know, I saw something I really can't understand and no one believes me. And being able to voice that and let it go.
But if they tell that to a Ghostbuster, they're not letting it go. What they're doing is they're feeding a frenzy of people who are just dying to get some story that they can work on, they can do an investigation on. And these people don't know what the hell they're doing. They call themselves...
some of them do not.
They call themselves investigators, and they don't have the slightest clue on how to conduct a proper investigation.
Oh, I agree.
Personally, I find it an insult.
There's a huge spectrum in all of these fields.
Yeah. You know, anybody who can put up a website, go on to Wix, do a website, bang, you're in business. It's sad because I think that there is some good to be done, but I think that there are so many people out there doing so much wrong, whether they're doing it on purpose or not. But that comes to the fact that there is no training, there is no standards. And I'll tell you something, those people in the Ghost Research Society don't want to share information because they're all looking they're all looking for that one photo, that one EVP that will just boom them into stardom. It's pathetic.
It is one of the aspects of all of the paranormal research that I've always found very, very disturbing and that the people are jealous of any information they have. Now, that's not true for everyone, but it is endemic to all of the paranormal research fields. Is if you have some nugget of information, you tend to guard it jealously.
And that's not right.
No, absolutely not.
You know, because I was a cop. And in police work, you shared information. That's the only way crimes got solved. You shared information. Law enforcement agencies in a province have access to the federal data bank. The federal data bank, if I'm a cop in Montreal or if I'm a cop in St. John, New Brunswick, or wherever I am in Canada, if I need information, that information isn't in our data bank. It goes to CPEC. If it's not in CPEC, CPEC makes an inquiry to the U.S. authorities. The information is exchanged. It's shared. That's what real investigators do.
Yeah. And there's, groups like MUFON and the BFRO are attempting some level of at least collecting data and making it in some fashion collated.
Yeah.
But it's not widespread yet. And it's very difficult, especially with things that there's virtually no way to get physical data on, such as black-eyed children, where it's a here and gone experience, or shadow people.
Well, let me ask you this.
Middle of the night.
Is there any video footage or surveillance video that would prove that black-eyed kids really exist? Because everybody's got a home security system these days that has recordings on it.
The common theme with the encounters that have happened where there are security cameras is that they just don't seem to be working right that night. The black-eyed children especially seem to have some very strong level of disruption psychically, and they mess with everything around them.
Isn't that strange?
It is. And one could argue it's very convenient as well.
Sure it is.
So
but you can also say, you know, for if one experience in 1,000 is real, there's a lot of people claiming experiences. So if even just one of those is real, something odd is going on.
Is something odd going on that is paranormal, or is something odd going on with the human psyche?
Well, I think we could all argue that something odd is going on with the human psyche, regardless if it's paranormal or not. But my expectation is the world still has an underbelly of strangeness.
I agree. You and I have to take our final breaks. Please stand by. Exonation, Chris Cliff is our special guest. www.pararational.com. This is the X Zone. I am Rob McConnell, coming to you from our broadcast center and studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Check us out on the X Zone TV channel, exclusively on Simul TV. And for more information on Simul TV, visit www.simultv.com. And listen to us 7/24/365 on the X Zone Broadcast Network, xzbn.net.
You have heard of the X Zone? Now watch it on Simul TV, plus 500 video games, live TV channels, free video on demand, worldwide, and more. Does this sound like tomorrow's television? Well, it is, but you can have it today, right now. It is Simul TV. Simul TV offers what the others only wish they could provide. 15 exclusive channels like X Zone, Sci-Fi, and Horror. We are worldwide. No other provider offers that. 500 built-in video games. No need to have an extra expensive system. We have them included. Free video on demand. Live streaming events from around the world. Interactive online network, and much more. Tomorrow's TV today. Simul TV. Sound too good to be true? Well, it's not. You can have Simul TV today. Sign up at simultv.com. Do it today.
The new nonfiction book, Razor of Madness, is similar to cult movies like Clockwork Orange, Dragon's Tattoo, or The Other Side of Hell. Wayne Morin Jr. and Thomas Lee Howell expose widespread and systematic deficiencies in this thought-provoking tell-all novel. Mind control rages among scholars in law schools. Human rights are ignored while thought reform and mental manipulation are accepted practices used as behavior modification. Dr. Louis Jolyon West comes to mind. Media and public scrutiny shows that United States mental hospitals are in fact destructive murder industries. Razor of Madness expose novel details this epidemic through an in-depth professional and personal investigation. For decades, there has been a revolving door policy that still releases killers and pedophiles back into society. The maestro of mind control continues to haunt America to this very day. Razor of Madness is available in paperback or as a downloadable ebook at Amazon.com.
The concept of a new age has been around since the late 19th century, yet much of its original meaning has been lost. What exactly is the new age? Is it a religion, a collection of obscure esoteric practices, a series of doomsday predictions, or an astrological event? The New Age Chronicles is a unique complementary publication bringing reason and grounded information to separate fact from fiction. Chock full of valuable information to support you as we make the monumental shift into the new era. You won't want to miss a single innovative issue. The New Age Chronicles newspaper is coming soon to www.newagechronicles.com.
Exonation, our guest this hour is Chris Cliff. He is the gentleman behind pararational.com. First of all, Chris, thanks very much for coming on the show. Very interesting topics. Let me ask you this. Has there been a correlation with the appearance of the black-eyed kids and the increased number of cell towers?
That I have not seen. I have not seen any correlation there, no.
Okay. Something else that I saw in the information that you sent us was something called the Hat Man. Who is he, or what is he?
The Hat Man is probably the most notorious of the shadow people. You know, a lot of times just random shadow people are bad.
Yeah.
They're a negative experience. The Hat Man seems to be a very intelligent variety with very malevolent intentions. And they tend to stick around. Just a regular shadow person, people will see once or twice, and that's it. Shadow people tend to dog people for years or even throughout their life.
Is it possible that these shadow people, these shadow kids, or the black-eyed kids, whoever, whatever, could be interdimensional?
I think, especially with the shadow people, that is probably the case with at least some of them, that we are seeing some aspect of their presence projected here.
Which shadow figure has the blazing red eyes?
Typically, with any of the supernatural things, red eyes typically, as much as I hate to say it, show up as something demonic.
Let me rephrase this. Is the presence or the possession or the encounter with demons on a rise?
I think that overall we are seeing more and more of them.
Why?
I don't. Well, and let me preface it this way. I don't think we're seeing more and more of the old world demons. From everything I've ever learned in life, there's several ways for demonic entities to rise, and one of them is for negative spirits to develop from, say, a negative ghost, the spirit of somebody that was evil in their essence when they died, to gain power over time, to become less and less human until they really are just a seething ball of nastiness. And so in that regard, yes, I think we're seeing more demonic entities. Maybe not true out epic demons, but more demonic entities.
Where do you stand on UFOs, extraterrestrials, and alien abductions?
Oh, I think they all exist. I think there's a lot of speculation that overlaps and conflicts. Again, I've seen some things in the skies that don't make sense. And, you know, especially now with the revelations about the Tic Tac UFOs and the government saying, yeah, we've got them. Yeah, we've seen that. We know what those are, or at least what they aren't. UFOs seem to be real. The debate then comes to, well, where they come from and why are they here? No one's got hard data on that.
Is it possible that a greater number of so-called UFOs are actually experimental or top-secret aircraft?
Absolutely. I think there's all the evidence points to at least some of them being terrestrial in origin.
Why do you think people are being abducted?
We make great guinea pigs. You know, if you follow all of the theories that from ancient aliens that we were engineered by aliens, then if we were engineered by another species to be their tinker toys, wouldn't it make sense that we are literally engineered to be tinker toys, and that they can play with our DNA and do things to us and drop us back in and come pick us up a couple of years later, see what happened.
Why Earth?
We're a happy little planet with lots of critters running around. You know, ancient aliens theorists always say that, hey, there's gold here in great concentrations, and for whatever reason, species out there wanted it.
So you're putting a lot of credibility into the TV show Ancient Aliens.
You know, I don't put a lot of credibility into the TV show. However, there seems to be a good bit of evidence that someone has visited our planet throughout the millennia.
You don't think
And-
that mankind, in its natural state, natural form, could have accomplished what we have?
I think we have. I just think there's also a good chance that we may have been tinkered with at some point along our evolutionary track.
Okay. How about the decrease in cattle mutilation cases around the world?
The decrease in them?
Yeah.
That is actually been a question I've been pondering as of late, is that it definitely seemed to have a real spike.
Yeah.
And it may be that it's just not getting reported as much. That there's no official, hey, I found a cow mutilated in my backfield website.
Another thing that we don't hear a lot about anymore, maybe the people who visit Pararational talk about it, are crop circles.
They're still popping up. I think part of the problem with that now is that there are a good number of people that think it's a great idea to go out and try and hoax them.
Mm-hmm.
But all of these things do seem to come in little waves. As to why, I really can't explain that.
Do people on Pararational talk about government conspiracies and cover-ups? And if so, what is the topic that piques the most?
Everybody, yeah. I don't think we have anybody on the website that comes through that doesn't think the government's not concealing at least UFO information. I mean, it's obvious that our governments worldwide like to keep secrets from us.
Well, sure. Why shouldn't they?
Yeah.
Do we need to know everything?
Likely we don't need to know everything, and I'm still in the camp that, at least until the revelation with the UFOs recently, that announcing that aliens exist would be detrimental to society. I must admit I was quite surprised when it hit the papers that UFOs, we've got video of UFOs from the government, and the government said yes, that no one flinched.
You know, I've got a theory that even if the government was to come out and say UFOs are real, nobody'd believe them.
I think it's actually, at least in most of the modern countries, we have been desensitized in a very methodical way.
Another thing that strikes me funny is that, like every paranormal field has its questionable ethics, and the UFO field is no different. Because as long as you keep a conspiracy in place, you do not have to prove that the subject that is being conspired exists. And this is exactly what the UFO field does. It's a government conspiracy. The government has the information. We can't get access to it. So that is why we can't prove that UFOs are real. But while you're not being able to prove UFOs are real, you're able to keep the propaganda machine going.
Absolutely. There you cannot deny that the argument, if someone says the government says UFOs aren't real, then conspiracy theorists are going to go, well, of course you're going to say that, because that's what you do.
But doesn't it make sense if we have all these hackers who are breaking into data banks around the world, both on all sides, just not the Russians, just not the Chinese, just not the Japanese. I'm sure the Americans and the Canadians are doing it as well. Wouldn't it make sense that if this information was housed in a database in any of the countries of the world, that a country that is not friendly to the other country, for example, Russian hackers hack into American databases, they find proof that in 1947 there was a Roswell crash and all the other documented cases are there, they release that data to the public. What would happen is that you'd have the crash of the trust in the government, you'd have chaos, and the government would fall. If I was an agent or a country that was against the United States, hell, that's one way I could overturn their government very easily. Because you'd prove to the people of the United States or any other country that you presented the evidence to that you are lied to by your government. Why hasn't that happened?
Well, one theory, quite honestly, is that all of the major countries are in on it. You look at the reports of crashed UFOs in Canada, and the Canadian authorities show up, and lo and behold, the U.S. military is already on the scene.
Allegedly.
Same with Mexico. Yes, allegedly.
Allegedly. You know, when I've had, I had the opportunity of having Paul Hellyer on the show, and as the Minister of Defense for Canada, I asked him point blank, as the Minister of Defense in Canada, were you privy to any UFO that was in Canadian airspace? His answer, no. Now that he's out in the UFO community, he's a believer.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, Chris, you and I have got to say so long for tonight. I want to thank you so much for joining us. And X-Zone Nation, if you'd like more information on Pararational, the website is www.pararational.com. I'll be back on the other side of this news break at 6.5 minutes past the top of the hour as we continue here in the X-Zone from our broadcast center and studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Don't forget the X-Zone TV channel is exclusive to simultv.com. Give them a visit, find out all about all the great shows, all the great channels, and how your top box set includes 500, that's right, 500 video games. I'm Rob McConnell. Don't go away.
Modern Esoteric, Beyond Our Senses by Brad Olson, consummates the lifeology story about where humanity originates. It is the lost continents, the primitive wisdom, the mythos of creation, and the rethinking of ancient history as we are taught in academia. There is much more to the story than what we have been told. As this is the first book in the Esoteric series, Modern Esoteric starts at the beginning of time and accelerates up to this modern age. Future Esoteric is book 2 in the series and takes a forward-looking position ahead of today with an open and honest examination of the ET issue and various unexplained phenomena. To discover the writings of author Brad Olson, visit www.bradolson.com. That's www.bradolson.com. Are you or is someone you know struggling with addictions, depression, anxiety, relationships, low self-esteem, lack of confidence, grief, success, and prosperity? Do you know that your subconscious belief plays a big role in the outcome of your hard work? We can help you permanently change the beliefs that may be the reason for your struggles and failures. We care about getting you the return on your investment and the results you are looking for. We can help you be free of the limitations of your past and in realizing your highest potential. We work with people by phone and Skype. For more information, visit us at www.ritasoman.com. That's www.ritasoman.com. Do you think you have energy problems in your home? Do you feel better when you're away than when you're home? Joey Korn is a global leader in the world of dowsing who specializes in personal energy clearing and space clearing. He can help you create an ideal energy environment in your home no matter where you live in the world. Learn about his remote spiritual house cleaning services and much more at www.dowsers.com. You can get Joey's book, Dowsing, A Path to Enlightenment, as well as other dowsing books and tools, Kabbalah books, and Walter Russell books. Joey's work is really amazing. Go to dowsers.com right now. That's DOWSERS.com or call 1-877-DOWSING. That's 1-877-369-7464.